You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, Internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Hey, this is John Preston, Marine Combat Veteran and Pacific Records recording artist. Just reaching out to have you check out our new album, Battle Cry, Songs of America's Heroes, an album featuring phenomenal other combat veteran artists like Scott Brown of the Scooter Brown Band, Ryan Weaver, Rowdy Johnson, just an incredible mix of people. This is all veterans telling our stories and our lives, and we're giving 100% of our proceeds to the Valkyrie Initiative to help veterans and first responders integrate back into society. I myself have battled with post-traumatic stress for many years and lost my own brother, a Marine Corps veteran, to suicide. I ask that you step with us and make this happen. We are in pre-order right now and release on March 17th. Go to iTunes, go to Amazon, buy. We plan on making the charts and making it at a very high level, and your support right now makes a difference. This is the release of my new song, Superman Falls, which is actually about the loss of my own brother, which happened last year, and I would love for everyone to check it out, to listen, and hopefully it'll make a difference in many lives.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687. 687.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it. There to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Sometimes riders feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
Here's George Foreman with InventHelp.
Hi, I'm George Foreman. Do you have an idea for a new product or invention? People ask me all the time, George, how do I get my idea in front of companies? How do I get a patent? What do I do next? Do you have the same questions? I'll tell you like I'll tell them all. Call my friends at InventHelp.
Call InventHelp today for free information. InventHelp has been helping inventors for more than 30 years and has sales offices nationwide. InventHelp can submit your invention to companies who are interested in receiving new ideas. If you have an idea and want to try to patent it and submit it to companies, you should call InventHelp today for free information.
Listen, I can't guarantee a company will be interested in your idea, but I believe every inventor deserves the opportunity to step into the ring and take their best shot. Put InventHelp in your corner.
Get your free inventor's information. Call 1-800-353-6490. That's 1-800-353-6490. Again, 1-800-353-6490.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
We believe in the American way. country called the USA, and we fly our flag because we're proud and free, we're Americans. Red, white, and blue is our way of life. Never back down from a challenge or a fight. Nature provides, God gives the rights, we're Americans. We fish the waters and we hunt the lands. We forge the steel with our own two hands. With what we've got, we do the best we can, we're Americans.
This is Rio of Madison Rising, and you're listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
It's time now for the Conservative Curmudgeon Radio Show. Now, here's Grouchy.
Yeah, we're just breaking all the windows around here. Good evening, everybody. It's a stormy night where I am. I hope yours is a lot better. I've got the scuba gear on just in case. I have water running across the top of my driveway. It has created a pool in both the front and backyard and down the street and what have you. But I'm here, and I am, for now, still dry. So say a little prayer for those of us down here on the northern Gulf Coast, because Tropical Storm Cindy is ugly. I do mean ugly. This is the one time where you wish the eye was going to hit you, because the eye is so pathetic that there's nothing around the eye. Everything is 200 miles to the east of it, which means that when this thing comes on shore around Lake Charles, Louisiana tomorrow, they're going to get a little bit of wind and maybe a little bit of light showers, and I probably still got 8 more inches of rain to go before it's done dumping here. It's just been unreal. But anyway, enough about beating a slow news cycle with a tropical storm. Let's have some fun. I suggest that we start tonight's program off by laughing our ose off at the special election returns of last night. In case you missed it, the Democrats could not turn the page on the narrative that was supposed to be the huge referendum against Trump and blah, 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 blah. And I mean, they obviously could not spin fast enough after the results came in. I don't think they really thought they had a shot in South Carolina. It was the Georgia seat that they really thought they could turn, flip 6, I think they were calling it, or whatever the heck it was. It was, first of all, let's just back up for a minute, okay? Never mind the two candidates, because I don't see either one as particularly strong. Obviously, I prefer Handel's politics to Ossoff's, but anyway, let's just talk about Georgia for a minute. What are they thinking in allowing somebody to run for Congress in a district in which they don't live in? Why would anybody, as a voter, Republican, Democrat, Libertarian, Independent, Buddhist, Satanist, I don't care. Why would any voter want to elect somebody to represent their district whose interests don't lie within that district? I don't even get why that's legal. As a constituent, I would be insisting that my representative be from my district. I know for a fact that my representative is from my district. And again, I don't know all the ins and outs. I just, for the life of me, I fail to see how that is even legal. I mean, you talk about disenfranchising voters. Screw the calls for voter ID. Let's just ram a candidate down your throat that doesn't even live in your district. Let's see how you like that. It's crazy. But, luckily, the House keeps all their seats in red, as, they were. These are people that were selected by Trump to become part of his cabinet or his administration. And these special elections are to fill their seats. So Republicans leave, Republicans come in. We now have more Republicans. And it's quite funny how people like, she's so insignificant. I don't even want to bring her up. So let's just forget about it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Let's dive into some big things. Well, even before we dive into some big things, let's do some programming reminders. Right after this show tonight, Jesse's POV, followed by The Right Side, and then followed by America Off the Rails, as long as nothing has changed in the last week. Right, boss?
You're good.
Right. Yeah, I'm good. And starting next week, that's right, next Wednesday, the debut of Politabunny's new show, FUBAR, One Nation Under Foo, will take place right before this program, right here on KLRN Radio. So then we will be looking at the 5-time conservative talk champion of talk radio, KLRN, every Wednesday night. Again, I'll have some new audio by then. But anyway, also wanted to remind you, next week's show, right here, next week, we are going to have a gaggle of misfits. That's right, a gaggle of misfits. I kind of like that, Rick. Rick just shot me a line for next Wednesday, starting the nickel-plated lineup. I like that. That's not bad. Not bad. Anyway, a gaggle of political misfits. Misfit Politics crew will be with me next week, right here live, KLRN Radio. I don't know how many we're going to get. We're going to get as many as we can get, though, because if you're not following these people individually and the Misfit Politics group Twitter account, you are missing out. You can go to their site and each of them have their own Twitter account. But as a group in the Misfit Politics brand, you should be following all of them. Brilliant folks, brilliant folks. You're gonna see next week. It's going to be a lot of fun because I'm sure that we'll get to kick some issues around a little bit, but I really want to concentrate more on them and their brand and how they brought it together and what makes it work, because they're really that good that you should know about them. I'm almost embarrassed that I have a few more followers than they do, because they really deserve to be followed. You can't understand it enough. Anyway, let's move forward. We do have things to talk about. It was a slow news cycle, but there are still some things to kick around. Some of the things that are going around that aren't getting a lot of attention, numero uno on my list for tonight, is President Trump rolling back the executive order opening up trade and travel to Cuba. He called President Obama's executive order terrible, one-sided, and misguided. He continued to say, "It's hard to think of a policy that makes less sense than the prior administration's terrible and misguided deal with the Castro regime." Well, you have to say the Iran regime was pretty bad also. I mean, that was a sweet deal for Iran, basically to get to continue their nuke program. The president said during his recent overseas trip that the U.S. will adopt a principled realism rooted in our values, shared interests, and common sense. He also said that during that trip that countries should take responsibility for creating stability in their own regions. Trump said the Cuban people suffered under almost 6 decades of communist domination. To this day, Cuba is ruled by the same people who killed tens of thousands of their own citizens, who sought to spread their repressive and failed ideology throughout the hemisphere, and who once tried to host enemy nuclear weapons 90 miles from our shores. The Castro regime has shipped arms to North Korea and fueled chaos in Venezuela. That's not the only places. We've covered how bad the Castro regime is before. There's a lot more to go into than North Korea and Venezuela. Those are just recent. While imprisoning innocents, it has harbored cop killers, hijackers, and terrorists. They have supported human trafficking, forced labor, and exploitation all around the globe. And this is a simple truth of the Castro regime. It doesn't take a genius to follow this. My friends, it's all true. The administration says it will not hide from it, excuse it, or glamorize it. Trump said, "We will never, ever be blind to this. We know what's going on, and we remember what happened," he said. So the president said he was making good on a campaign promise to be a voice against repression and a voice for the Cuban people. "You went out and you voted, and here I am like I promised," he said, adding, "Now that I am your president, America will expose the crimes of the Castro regime and stand with the Cuban people in their struggle for freedom." Interesting. I'd like to see how that's going to be done. Trump said of Obama's easing of restrictions on Cuba does not help the Cuba people. It only enriches the Cuban regime. And he's right. He's absolutely right. He's not always right. And you know this from me. I will tell you when he's doing good. I will tell you when he's doing bad, just like I did with the former president, and just like I've always done with presidents. So the profits from investment in tourism flow directly to the military. The regime takes the money and owns the industry. The outcome of the last administration's executive action has been only more repression and a move to crush the peaceful democratic movement. Therefore, effective immediately, President Trump said he is canceling the last administration's completely one-sided deal with Cuba. Now, you don't have to agree with what he's doing, but you definitely cannot deny the facts that he's stating as the cause of what he's doing. And if you disagree with what he's doing, I would certainly love to hear your point of view, being, if it's based in fact and not feelings. Matter of fact, let me real quick, just for fun, if you're out there and you want to express a different opinion, the call line is 405-648-4798. That is 405-648-4798. Feel free to call in, voice your opinion. You can just give me a ride on. You can tell me I'm an idiot, but if you tell me I'm an idiot, you better be able to back it up, because otherwise you're going to get scorched. Yes, we're still doing that. Absolutely. I think I'm going to have to reboot that iPad. But anyway. So there's a new policy. As Trump indicated, he canceled the old, he put in a new. He said he will be signing that contract, at the time of the speech. He said he's going to sign it in just a moment. He said, our policy will seek a much better deal for the Cuban people and for the United States of America. We do not want U.S. dollars to prop up a military monopoly that exploits and abuses the citizens of Cuba. Our new policy begins with strictly enforcing United States law. We will not lift sanctions on the Cuban regime until all political prisoners are freed. Freedoms of assembly and expression are respected. All political parties are legalized, and free and internationally supervised elections are scheduled, said Trump. President also promised to strongly restrict American dollars flowing to the military, security, and intelligence services that are the core of the Castro regime. We will enforce the ban on tourism. We will enforce the embargo. We will take concrete steps to ensure that investments flow directly to the people so they can open private businesses and begin to build their country's great future, a country of great potential. That action today bypasses the military and the government to help the Cuban people themselves form businesses and pursue better lives. Trump said that they will keep in place the safeguards to prevent Cubans from risking their lives to unlawfully travel to the United States. They're in such danger the way they have to come to this country, and we are going to be safeguarding those people, Trump said. Now, here's a little problem with me, okay? I get that these people are being repressed. I get that they are oppressed. I get that they don't like it. I get that it's a very non-free way to live in Cuba. That doesn't mean that we go waiving our immigration laws just because they want to get loose and come to the United States. There are lots of people that want to get away from their country and come to the United States. And we don't just open the borders up because people want to come here. So I'm going to be watching this. Trump did challenge Cuba to come to the table with a new agreement that is in the best interest of both their peoples and also of Cuban Americans. How could they be different than both peoples? I don't get that line, but anyway, I didn't write the article. I just took the note. Trump says to the Cuban government, I say put an end to the abuse of dissidents, release the political prisoners, stop jailing innocent people, open yourselves to political and economic freedoms. Return the fugitives from American justice, including the return of cop killer Joanne Chesmard. Yeah. She's also known as Assata Shakur. She was a member of the Black Liberation Army, convicted in 1977 of the execution-style murder of New Jersey State Trooper Warner Forster. And Chesmard is still listed on the FBI's most wanted terrorist list, some 40 years later. Unbelievable, 40 years. And finally, hand over the Cuban military criminals who shot down and killed 4 brave members of Brothers to the Rescue who were in unarmed, small, slow civilian planes, Trump said. Those victims included Mario de la Peña Jr., Carlos Costa, de la Peña's parents, and Costa's sister. We're all on hand in Miami. You know, I wish they would do a better job with my notes. I'm going to fire my writing staff. Make a note, Rick, that I need new writers. Thank you.
Which one are we firing, Mrs. Right or Mr. Left?
Oh, well, I think we're going to fire the left. Because when we're right, brother. Anyway, according to a fact sheet provided by the White House, Trump is changing the U.S. policy to Cuba to achieve 4 objectives. Enhance compliance with United States law, in particular the provisions that govern the embargo of Cuba and ban on tourism. Hold the Cuban regime accountable for oppression and human rights abuses ignored under the Obama policy. Further the national security and foreign policy interests of the United States and those of the Cuban people. and lay the groundwork for empowering the Cuban people to develop greater economic and political liberty. All in all, this is not a bad thing. This is not a bad thing. The only thing I said, like I'm worried about, is how he intends to watch out for these people traveling here. I don't want to see an open door swinging wet foot, dry foot again. I do not like that policy. I never did. And I think they should have to apply just like everybody else. I'm sorry, but, it just is what it is. And before anybody starts telling me how bigoted I am, my mother's second husband was Cuban. His parents fled the Castro regime and brought him to the United States. I know the stories firsthand from people that actually were there when it was happening. So blow that out your backside before you start trying to call it in on me. Now, meanwhile, Cuban Americans will be able to continue to visit their loved ones in Cuba and send them remittances. The policy memo directs the Treasury and Commerce Departments to begin the process of issuing new regulations within 30 days. And that is the end of that policy. Like I said, all in all, not a bad move. Again, though, and I've mentioned this before, and this is not necessarily a knock specifically against Trump, but against the entire D.C. complex as a whole. I hate to see things happening via executive order. I would much rather see legislation flowing. But right now, it seems like our congressmen and our senators can't get their heads out of their echo chambers, shall we say, and actually do what the people send them there to do. Quite frankly, I think more than anything, I'm sick of lawyers in D.C. I'm sick of lawyers in Congress. I think that for every lawyer that is elected to Congress, there should have to be at least 5 blue-collar workers. I think that's the only way to balance it out. I really do. I mean, whatever. You don't have to like it. I'm not even sure I like it 100%. I just think there's too many lawyers up there. Too many lawyers and too many people that are definitely more worming about their own interests instead of our interests. And, this health bill deal that's, you're hearing a lot about it all of a sudden again today now. The briefing is coming and this thing's been worked on, and we got Mike Lee speaking out saying he hasn't even seen the thing, and he's on the committee that's supposed to be writing it. I'm curious to see what they're going to propose. I will state again for the record that I do not want a better government health care plan. I want the government to get the hell out of health care. I am all about repeal without replace. Let's let our federal government stick to what it was defined to do by the Constitution and not trying to obfuscate laws and rules to insert themselves further into our lives. Let's be the damn Americans that our founders wanted us to be, and let's work to be independent. Let's get government out of our way. But anyway, enough about that for right now. We're hitting the bottom of the hour. It's time to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to continue on with the news you need, and we'll have some sarcasm on the side for dipping. We're going to dip into some sarcasm. Don't worry, we will. And I just need you to sit tight, and we'll be back in about 3 or 4.
Hey, this is John Preston, Marine Combat Veteran and Pacific Records recording artist. Just reaching out to have you check out our new album, Battle Cry, Songs of America's Heroes, an album featuring phenomenal other combat veteran artists like Scott Brown of the Scooter Brown Band, Ryan Weaver, Rowdy Johnson, just an incredible mix of people. This is all veterans telling our stories and our lives, and we're giving 100% of our proceeds to the Valkyrie Initiative to help veterans and first responders integrate back into society. I myself have battled with post-traumatic stress for many years and lost my own brother, a Marine Corps veteran, to suicide. I ask that you step with us and make this happen. We are in pre-order right now and release on March 17th. Go to iTunes, go to Amazon, buy. We plan on making the charts and making it at a very high level, and your support right now makes a difference. This is the release of my new song, Superman Falls, which is actually about the loss of my own brother, which happened last year, and I would love for everyone to check it out, to listen, and hopefully it'll make a difference in many lives.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from the critique of the short story through to line edits on full-length novels. We also offer assistance on generating writers' bios for your websites. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
Here's George Foreman with InventHelp.
Hi, I'm George Foreman. Do you have an idea for a new product or invention? People ask me all the time, George, how do I get my idea in front of companies? How do I get a patent? What do I do next? Do you have the same questions? I'll tell you like I'll tell them all. Call my friends at InventHelp.
Call InventHelp today for free information. InventHelp has been helping inventors for more than 30 years and has sales offices nationwide. InventHelp can submit your invention to companies who are interested in receiving new ideas. If you have an idea and want to try to patent it and submit it to companies, you should call InventHelp today for free information.
Listen, I can't guarantee a company will be interested in your idea, but I believe every inventor deserves the opportunity to step into the ring and take their best shot. Put InventHelp in your corner.
To get your free inventor's information, call 1-800-353-6490. That's 1-800-353-6490. Again, 1-800-353-6490.
All right, welcome back. I have no idea what the hell that was.
Will you stifle yourself?
Yeah, thank you. Jeez, Edith. Anyway, and speaking of stifling oneself, at his press briefing on June 8th, Speaker of the House Paul Ryan did not say whether he is committed to fully defunding Planned Parenthood by prohibiting Title X monies from going to the organization. Also, despite numerous calls to his office and his press secretary by multiple media outlets, the Speaker refused to clarify his position, strongly suggesting that he does not intend to prohibit Title X funding through the appropriations for fiscal year 2018. So my question to Speaker Ryan would be, what the hell did they send you back to D.C. for, you moron? I think, by and large, the American people are sick and tired of watching the House drag its heels on defunding Planned Parenthood. Plain and simple. It's writing on the wall. It's so blatant. These people do evil things with our tax dollars. And the people that we send to D.C. are scared to stop them. There's only one thing left to do, folks. You have to send somebody that will stop them. Because until people get it through their thick, dark, bleak, blighted, ignorant heads that quote unquote lump of cells is actually a human life, nothing's going to change. We got people in DC. Here's the problem. Here's the biggest problem. You want to know why nothing's getting done? Everybody talks about, well, the Republicans have the majority. The Republicans have the majority. Okay, here's the problem. The problem is we have too many damn Republicans and not enough conservatives in D.C. That's the problem. And there is a difference. If you don't know what the difference is, then you need to seek me later online, because you got some education coming, and we could do a whole show on the difference if we really had to. But I think I could hook you up in a few tweets. And if not, I definitely know somebody that can hook you up in a few tweets. So come at me on Twitter at TCC_Grouchy if you don't know the difference between a Republican and a conservative. I'll help you out, I promise. So particularly at this press briefing back on June 8th, a reporter from CNS asked Speaker Ryan, President Trump's budget calls for prohibiting any funding of the labor HHS appropriations bill, including Title X money, from going to Planned Parenthood. Are you committed to making sure the House appropriations bill for the 2018 fiscal year prohibits all funding, including Title X funding for Planned Parenthood? Now, Ryan did not answer the question directly. His reply is as follows. We've made 2 great progresses on this issue, and I think the best place is because we don't want to have to go over a 60-vote threshold, which we know we can't pass that with 60 votes in the Senate, is to reconcile this. That is why this is our reconciliation package, he said. So it's more important for us to deliver the result than to just have the issue. And to deliver the result to stop fungible money from going to finance abortion is to do it through reconciliation. We also passed a bill giving the states the ability, through our CRA approach, to themselves cut off Title X funding, he said. The House passed a reconciliation package on May 4th that prohibits Medicaid funding for Planned Parenthood for 1 year. That legislation is now in the Senate and requires a simple majority, 51 votes, to pass. However, the reconciliation package does not, I repeat, does not cut off Title X money to Planned Parenthood. Those funds would have to be prohibited through a regular appropriations process for the funding of the Department of Health and Human Services, from where the Title X money is dispersed. Speaker Ryan did not say whether he would do this or whether he supported it. Folks, that's weakness. That, to me, is a beta male. That is a man who refuses to stand up for what he actually says he believes in. Real men don't have that problem, Mr. Speaker. And you're going to learn a whole lot more about that on July 12th. Special pro-life show right here on July 12th. Special guest Southern Keeks, Kimberly Ross, will be joining the program, fresh off a women's life conference in Florida somewhere. And she's going to have lots of good things to tell us about, and we're going to have some great discussions. And I'm hoping to bring in one or two more guests that night that are really going to help top the program off. It's going to be all about pro-life, so you're not going to want to miss that. But anyway, back to this. As for states prohibiting Title X money, Ryan was referring to House Joint Resolution 43, which President Trump signed on April 13th, and which reversed a December 2016 Obama administration regulation that prevented states from denying Title X funding to Planned Parenthood. With that resolution, states may or may not deny funding to Planned Parenthood. The federal government does not prohibit it. Trump's budget proposal for fiscal year 2018, however, does strip out all Title X money to Planned Parenthood. Folks, once again, you cannot hold the president liable for this. He knows it has to go through Congress. He has done his part, though. He has made the budget proposal and sent it to Congress. In the budget proposal, he is stipulating he wants to strip out all Title X money to Planned Parenthood. So again, Ryan nor his staff would comment further, on this appropriations bill, and in specific the questions about Title X monies. So you got Planned Parenthood, America's largest abortion provider, killing more than 300,000 babies every year, innocent victims. Its latest annual report, the 2015-2016 year, shows that they performed 328,348 abortions. This group also received $554.6 million in government health service reimbursements and grants, which all equates to taxpayer money, i.e. your money, i.e. my money, i.e. our money. It's simple. The new budget proposal for 2018 strips the funding from Planned Parenthood. All you have to do is pass it. The ball is in the court of Congress. And quite frankly, that may be the only ball in Congress, if you catch my drift. Yada, 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 yada. This is all excerpts from the Trump proposal to strip the funding. There's no real need to read it. I mean, you either propose to strip the funding or you don't propose to strip the funding. Trump has proposed to strip the funding. It is now up to Congress to make it happen. We listened for years. Well, we only have the House. We can't do anything with just the House, even though the House controls the purse strings of the government. They pissed and moaned that they couldn't do anything because we don't have the Senate. We don't have the White House. Well, guess what? We gave them the Senate. And then we hear, well, if we only had the White House, it's not enough to have the House and the Senate. We got to have a White House, too. They got a Republican in the White House now. Well, I mean, he's a Republican by name. I'm not going to call him a rhino because he's not even really a rhino. He should have a P after his name. That's what he should have. It's a populist movement, I guess would be the proper term. He definitely draws from both Republican and Democrat and other even worse policies to form his policy. It's kind of a populist movement. May not be popular with me, may not be popular with a lot of you, but that would be the proper term, I guess, for right now. He should have a P after his name instead of an R. The difference is that it should be a C for conservative, but it could be worse. It could be Hillary. I'm not saying it'd be a whole lot worse, but it could be worse. So anyway, we got to move on. The other interesting story I came across this week that I thought we needed to talk about was going back to these security leaks from the Obama administration that are more than just security leaks. The unmasking, the Fourth Amendment violations committed by the Obama administration and Susan Rice in particular. The information regarding the unmasking of the Trump campaign and transition members by former National Security Advisor Susan Rice is now said to be stored at the Obama Library and will be under lock and key for 5 years, a watchdog group said on Monday. Judicial Watch said it was told about the sealed documents in a letter from the National Security Council. The NSC told Judicial Watch that it won't hand over the unmasking records nor any intelligence community information about Russian involvement in the 2016 presidential election. Tom Fitton, the president of Judicial Watch, was livid about the Obama library storage of the material, and he hoped special counsel Robert Mueller and Congress would look into the matter. Prosecutors, Congress, and the public will want to know when the National Security Council shipped off the records about potential intelligence abuses by Susan Rice and others in the Obama White House to the memory hole of the Obama Presidential Library. And Fitton said that they are considering legal options, but we hope that special counsel and Congress will also consider other options to seize these records. And who can blame them? Now all of a sudden, all of this unmasking stuff is in the library, in the presidential library? Come on. And, saying that it'll be sealed for 5 years, who makes that determination? Certainly, if these documents were part of an investigation, they would have to be made available. And you can't just simply tell the federal government, well, they're sealed in a library for 5 years. You can't look at them. No, this is absolutely unacceptable. Absolutely unacceptable. And Tom Fitton, I wish you all the luck in the world, sir. I hope you get what you're fishing for, because this country is waiting to see that. Now, what else is on the plate? Well, you might have heard about this Supreme Court ruling this past week in a decision that is likely to bolster the Washington Redskins football team effort to protect their trademarks. The Supreme Court on Monday ruled that the government may not refuse to register potentially offensive names, a law denying protection to disparaging trademarks, the court said, violated the First Amendment. The decision was unanimous, which is pretty rare on the Supreme Court, I would think, but the justices were divided on their reasoning. Not shocking. Now, the actual case wasn't brought by the Washington Redskins. It concerned an Asian American dance rock band called the Slants. They were fighting to trademark and copyright the name the Slants, but were told that they could not do so because it was offensive. So, boys, good for you. Good for you doing what you had to do. You've made this place a better country, knowing where we stand, with our First Amendment rights. This whole decision was viewed by a lawyer for the Redskins as a strong indication that the football team will win its fight to retain federal trademark protection. A lawyer for the team said the decision resolves the Redskins' longstanding dispute with the government. The Supreme Court vindicated the team's position that the First Amendment blocks the government from denying or canceling a trademark registration based on the government's opinion. The law at issue in both cases denies federal trademark protection to messages that may disparage people, living or dead, along with institutions, beliefs, or national symbols. 4 justices said the law could not withstand even the fairly relaxed judicial scrutiny that the Supreme Court applies to commercial speech. Those justices rejected the 2 government interests that the law was said to advance, protecting disadvantaged groups from demeaning messages and the orderly flow of commerce. In other words, snowflakes might not like it. The First Amendment protects offensive speech. Justice Samuel Alito wrote for this group of 4 justices, speech that demeans on the basis of race, ethnicity, gender, religion, age, disability, or any other similar ground is hateful. But the proudest boast of our free speech jurisprudence is that we protect the freedom to express the thought that we hate, he wrote, quoting a classic 1929 dissent from Justice Oliver Wendell Holmes. Alito added that the law's disparagement clause was far too broad. It is not an anti-discrimination clause. It is a happy talk clause, he wrote. Chief Justice John Roberts and Justices Clarence Thomas and Stephen Breyer joined that part of Justice Alito's opinion. 4 other justices who would have struck down the law using the more searching First Amendment scrutiny that applies to viewpoint discrimination. The danger of viewpoint discrimination, Anthony Kennedy wrote, is that the government is attempting to remove certain ideas or perspectives from a broader debate. That danger is all the greater if the ideas or perspectives are ones a particular audience might think offensive, at least at first hearing. To permit viewpoint discrimination in this context is to permit government censorship, Kennedy wrote. Justices Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Sonia Sotomayor, Elena Kagan joined Kennedy's opinion. Justice Gorsuch did not participate in the case, which was initially argued in January before he joined the court. The competing opinions from the 2 4-justice blocks will mute the extent to which the decision sets precedent in other contexts. All 8 participating justices did agree on some points. They were unanimous in rejecting the argument that federal trademarks are the government's own speech and thus immune from First Amendment scrutiny of any kind. In 2015, a 5-4 decision in Walker v. Sons of Confederate Veterans, the Supreme Court ruled that Texas could refuse to allow specialty license plates bearing the Confederate battle flag because the plates were the government's speech. Justice Alito, writing for 8 justices on Monday, said trademarks are different. If the federal registration of a trademark makes the mark government speech, the federal government is babbling prodigiously and incoherently, he wrote. I couldn't agree more. I think they've been doing that anyway. It is saying many unseemly things. It is expressing contradictory views. It is ashamedly endorsing a vast array of commercial products and services, and it is providing Delphic advice to the consuming public. Boom. The Slants said they did not intend to disparage anyone. Instead, they said they sought to adopt and reform a disparaging term about Asians, much as some gay people have embraced the term queer. Whatever. Different strokes, different folks. It was a unanimous decision and blah, blah, blah. And anyway, basically what we're getting out of this, folks, hate speech is not restricted by the First Amendment, which makes the arrest of the man in Sussex, England, all the more disgusting. I know he's not an American. He doesn't fall under our Constitution, but this man actually just said something derogatory about Muslims on Twitter, and he was arrested. The thought police are taking over in westernized countries, folks. Don't think it can't happen here. Don't think it won't happen here. I'm going to go out on a limb and guarantee that by 2020, you will have read about it. You will have read about it happening in the United States. Thought police. Folks, that is tonight's show. I thank you for being with me. Want to remind you Jesse's POV is coming right up, followed by The Right Side with Dan Wright and America Off the Rails with Rowdy Rick Robinson. Next Wednesday, be sure to tune in to KLRN Radio 1 hour earlier so that you can catch the debut of Politabunny's new show, FUBAR. It will be One Nation Under Foo, Foo Real. Also, next week, I will be on with the Misfits. That's right. Misfit Politics will be joining me next week. I'm pretty sure we've got about 4 or 5 synced up to join us throughout the hour. It should be a great show. There may be more. There might be 1 or 2 less. I don't know. They're misfits. They kind of do what they want to do. It's their thing. But anyway, just wanted to give you all that and tell you to be safe out there, especially if you're listening to me locally here along the Gulf Coast. The weather's horrendous, folks. Be very careful. Out west, the heat is unbearable. Be careful, you people out there. If you like the show, tell your friends. If your friends like the show, you need new friends. But they and you are welcome every Wednesday right here with me on the Conservative Curmudgeon Show. Thank you and God bless.
Hey, this is John Preston, Marine Combat Veteran and Pacific Records recording artist. Just reaching out to have you check out our new album, Battle Cry, Songs of America's Heroes, an album featuring phenomenal other combat veteran artists like Scott Brown of the Scooter Brown Band, Ryan Weaver, Rowdy Johnson, just an incredible mix of people. This is all veterans telling our stories and our lives, and we're giving 100% of our proceeds to the Valkyrie Initiative to help veterans and first responders integrate back into society. I myself have battled with post-traumatic stress for many years and lost my own brother, a Marine Corps veteran, to suicide. I ask that you step with us and make this happen. We are in pre-order right now and release on March 17th. Go to iTunes, go to Amazon, buy. We plan on making the charts and making it at a very high level, and your support right now makes a difference. This is the release of my new song, Superman Falls, which is actually about the loss of my own brother, which happened last year, and I would love for everyone to check it out, to listen, and hopefully it'll make a difference in many lives.